Part 46. Fantasy, Me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 452. Temporarily take charge of the affairs of Tianhuangbu Lao City. After hearing these words, many people's eyes lit up. Yes. The senior Tianji building master is too mysterious. He should not have time to manage the everlasting city. It is reasonable to leave it to the original city lord again. After all, this city was built by the city lord. No one knows the affairs of the city better than him. City lord, when will we step into Tianyuan realm? Hongxian asked softly. Now Tianhuang Eternal City is still floating in chaos. If it has not entered Tianyuan world, it does not belong to the forces of Tianyuan world. It also does not have the various benefits of Tianyuan world. Now that the world level of Tianyuan world has changed, the way of heaven as it is getting clearer and clearer, and the concentration of spiritual energy is increasing rapidly. It can be said that there is a paradise everywhere. Staying in this world, as long as you are not a fool, your cultivation level will increase rapidly. This point makes them envious. In the past, everyone in the everlasting city they all looked down upon the Tianyuan realm. After all, there is a huge gap between the Tianyuan realm and the previous Tianyuan realm. But now, it is different. The Tianyuan realm is close to the level of the original Tianyuan realm, and it is going up. I am afraid that I will have to take a step back. If you cannot occupy a favorable position before the rise of Tianyuan world, you will have to think carefully when you want to enter Tianyuan world in the future. You can understand by referring to the forces in the earthly immortal world. You can't enter now. There will definitely be no hope in the future. Beings in every world are born with xenophobia. No one wants foreign forces to occupy vast territories in their own world. People who do this are uniformly called invaders. They, the people of the everlasting city, do not want to be considered as intruders by the creatures in the Tianyuan world. After all, no matter how strong the everlasting city is, it is just a force. It is impossible to fight against a world. Moreover, the state of the city lord is not right. The everlasting city seems to be a little careless, which makes everyone's heart a lot heavier. If the city lord ignores them, I'm afraid the everlasting city will have the name of Tianji Tower, and there will be no other places. Any benefit? Just relying on a few of their great emperors simply cannot hold up the stage. Because, it won't be long before the great emperor level figures are very likely to no longer be at the top. A corresponding true immortal will be the top figure. Pillar of Heaven. After 3 hours, I will let Tianhuang Eternal City enter Tianyuan. Qi Lin spoke, his voice indifferent. But the words are not finished yet. His expression, which had remained calm for a long time, suddenly stirred up a wave of emotion. There was an unexpected wave in the depths of his eyes. This moment, his emotions suddenly returned, no longer what they were before, like a zombie puppet, with a hint of life in him. City Lord? Hongxian was puzzled and asked in a low voice. Someone from my hometown is here. Qi Lin said in a hoarse voice. Faintly, he could hear a hint of excitement in his voice. How many years has it been? In the endless years, he rarely sensed a trace of the breath of his hometown, but this breath was very weak, but he was still aware of it. After all, he is now completely different from what he used to be. Home. Hongxian was startled at first, and then quickly reacted. He asked uncertainly, the city lord is talking about people from the Tianyuan realm. At the beginning, he had personally asked the owner of Tianji, and the answer given to him by the owner of Tianji was also very clear, that is, the Tianyuan realm has been broken, and is now divided into 3, turning into 3 small worlds. But at least, the Tianyuan realm, it was so powerful back then that even if it were split into 3, any one taken out would still be much stronger than the current Earth immortal world. Now, the city lord has noticed the aura of his hometown. It is very likely that there is someone in one of the three worlds. The creatures are coming. The Xianguang realm, the Sumeru realm, or the true martial realm. Before Hongxian could figure out a clue, in the depths of the chaos, a little brilliance bloomed, and a silver-white brilliance paved a starlight avenue, extending in the depths of the chaos. Come. On the silver-white avenue, there is a dense atmosphere of immortality, there is the roar of the heavenly voice of the avenue, and there are real dragons, immortal phoenixes, and other divine beasts soaring. It is very terrifying. Everyone can see it. On the avenue, a thin figure is covered with stars and moon. Coming. He has an ancient face, long sleeves fluttering, and the clothes he wears do not belong to the Tianyuan world. They have an ancient meaning, as if he came from an eternity ago and reversed time. This person has not yet arrived. A boundless momentum, just like the Wang-yang of the sea, sweeping across hundreds of millions of miles of chaos, enveloping the entire everlasting city. In the face of this momentum, the ever-powerful everlasting city in the past is like duckweed in the sea, falling at any time. Risk of capsizing. This is true immortal. Hongxian said in shock. No. Qi Lin responded to him in a rare way, with a hint of solemnity in his eyes as he murmured, he is an immortal. The word immortal is nothing. After all, true immortals are also called immortals. This is just like a quasi-emperor, and some people call him the great emperor. It is just a kind of respect, and there is no chance at all. But in front of the immortal, adding the word immortality makes it different. It means that this person has transcended the long river of time and has become an immortal existence. As long as he does not seek death, he will basically not die and can be with the sun and the moon. Heaven and earth are not the same. If it is destroyed, he will live forever. Even if the world collapses, he can still escape. How could this person suddenly come to Tianyuan world? Hongxian looked at the visitor with an unsightly expression. Logically speaking, seeing the creatures from the original Tianyuan world in a foreign land should be a happy event. After all, the appearance of this person represents the hope of their return. It's a pity. Yes. At that time, the Tianyuan realm has been divided. The three independent worlds now, taken separately, may not be as good as the Tianyuan realm that has already jumped in level. Because of this, they don't want to go back, whether it is the Xianguang realm or the Sumi realm. He can be sure that the other party does not have a figure like Tianji Lozhu. In this case, why should he and others go back? If they go back, their achievements in life will be just like that. But if he stays in Tianyuan world, as long as Tianji Lozhu continues, by integrating other worlds, their strength will increase, and they may even be able to prove eternity. Are you here for the eternal city? Hongxian frowned. His own city lord can sense the breath of the other party, and naturally the other party can also feel the breath of the everlasting city. The two are in the same realm. In the chaos, they are like guiding lights. It is reasonable for the other party to be attracted to him. But what happens after he is attracted? Hongxian is not a fledgling cultivator. He knows that anyone who can reach a strong point is not a good man or woman. There were also ruthless people in the Tianyuan world in the past. If the characters who are attracted do not come with good intentions, then not only the everlasting city will be in danger, but other worlds may also be destroyed. Fantasy, may create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 453. Buzz. The brilliance leaked to the earth. The formation of the everlasting city was as if it were nothing in front of the visitor. It was easily passed through without causing any reaction from the formation. In fact, the formation did not encounter any damage. The means are simply unbelievable. Before my hometown, there were actually people from the Xianguang realm. Could it be that the hands of the Xianguang realm have already reached my hometown? amidst the brilliance of the sky. A thin man with bright starry eyes and a long sword walked out. His hair was like a waterfall, hanging down naturally, with little starlight flowing around, and entangled with chaos. It made him look otherworldly, as if he does not belong to time. There is no doubt that he is very powerful. But the words he says make people confused. Hometown. Not only Hongxian, but also Jilin frowned. Didn't the other party come from him? His hometown? The hometown of himself and others is the Tianyuan realm, which has now been divided into 3 parts. The Xianguang realm he just mentioned is one of them. Then the question arises. The hometown mentioned by the other party is also where? Could it be that his hometown is different from that of himself and others? Who are you? Qi. Lin asked in a deep voice. This place does not belong to the Tianyuan world. Without the blessing of the world, he is now at the peak of the true immortal, infinitely close to the immortal realm. Although there is a thin line between them, it is like a chasm. No matter what, he couldn't defeat the person in front of him. Even if a fight started, he would be crushed instantly. There would be no second possibility. Because he could sense that this person's strength was not in the realm of immortality. After all, this place is so far away from the Xianguang realm. Far away, this person did not come through a space passage, but crossed over from the chaos. Who knows how long he has been flying in the chaos? After so many years, he cannot stand still. You creatures from the mysterious light realm, who are entrenched near my hometown, still want to ask me who I am. It is simply ridiculous. The man was tall and tall. He was dressed in a moon-white robe. His flowing and sharp brilliance turned into a divine sword. It was extremely sharp. It seemed that with a single order, he could destroy the entire everlasting city. At this time, although he did not take action, just a wisp of breath escaped, and the everlasting city began to tremble, as if it was about to disintegrate. It made countless people feel stunned. His eyes were cold, and everyone in the everlasting city he glanced at the creature, and couldn't help feeling cold in his heart. He never expected that Suan Guangzhi's movements would be so fast. He was already on his way very quickly, but the other party was still one step ahead of him and came to Tianyuan. Before the world. Are these people the vanguard of the Xianguang world? With his strength, it is not difficult to see that there is a supreme true immortal and several great emperors in the city. Such forces are used to deal with the Tianyuan world. It is so big his handiwork. After all, in his impression, the strongest person in the Tianyuan world is the great emperor, and if the other party sends a true immortal, isn't that a direct crush? Senior, is there any misunderstanding here? Hongxian quickly stood up. The other party was too strong, and it didn't seem to be coming for a war. In his words, he had a lot of affection for the Tianyuan world. It happened that he and others had no ill intentions towards the Tianyuan world. If they were attacked by the other party, that's it. If it was destroyed, wouldn't it be a loss? More importantly, from the other party's words, he guessed that the other party was most likely a creature from the Tianyuan world. He left the Tianyuan world an unknown number of years ago and happened to come back today. In this way. Then there is no reason to start a war. We are all one family. We will soon enter the Tianyuan world. From now on, we will regard ourselves as beings from the Tianyuan world. As for our previous identity as beings from the Tianyuan world, we can almost lose it. How have you ever been qualified to speak in front of me? The man in white had a cold tone. He glanced across the sky, like a divine sword cutting through the void. With a clang, he slashed the opponent away. Puff. It was just a glance. As if Hongxian was hit hard, his body flew out and crashed into a palace. Fortunately, at the last moment, Qilin came to help and saved him. He only suffered heavy injuries and was injured. Not life-threatening. Not bad. The white-clothed man's eyes fell on Qilin, and he said indifferently. Being able to take a random blow from him, even if he didn't attack with all his strength, he can still see the opponent's strength. In his opinion, this trip to the Xianguang realm can be described as what a waste of money. A person who is infinitely close to the realm of immortality was sent out just to destroy a Tianyuan world that was only supported by the great emperor. What a waste of money. I come from the Tianyuan realm, not the Xianguang realm. This is not what you think. Jilin spoke, he was explaining. In the face of a life and death crisis, his humanity defeated the rationality of heaven. Tianyuan realm. After hearing this, the man sneered and said it's a very ancient world, but it has long been broken. Now the Xianguang realm has always called itself the Tianyuan realm. Is there any difference between what you said is from the Tianyuan realm and from the Xianguang realm? In the Xianguang realm, all the creatures are proud of the orthodoxy of the Tianyuan realm. They are also called from the Tianyuan realm. After all, they were very glorious before. But the difference is that the creatures outside the realm all call their world. Although the two names of Xianguang realm are different, they do not conflict with each other. And Qilin's opening his mouth now just makes people mistakenly think that he comes from Xianguang realm. No. Qilin shook his head again and said, I come from the Tianyuan realm before it was broken. The man's eyes narrowed, and the coldness in his eyes became more intense. He said in a deep voice, are you kidding me? Do you know that the Tianyuan realm has been broken for hundreds of millions of years? In such a long time, except for those who are in the immortal realm and above, no one knows how many generations have passed. Even a true immortal cannot live for such a long time. As for the red scale in front of me, his realm is not very clear, but the aura on his body all showed that he was a true fairyland figure. How did he survive? This is already a living fossil, and almost no one can do it. Therefore, the man felt that he had been tricked for the first time. How do you prove it? The man asked jokingly. I can't prove it. Qilin shook his head. If it was before, that's it. He was full of twilight, and anyone with a discerning eye could see that he didn't have much life, so naturally he couldn't hide it from this man. After all, if the Xianguang realm wants to conquer the Tianyuan realm, it is impossible to send one. The dying man came over. But now, Qilin has no hidden dangers, and is like a supreme immortal in his prime. Any words he says will become excuses in the eyes of men and are not trustworthy. Then you lied to me. The man showed an expression that was indeed true. He stretched out one hand, and the long sword behind his back made a clanging sound. His aura was extremely sharp, cutting everything apart. It seemed that a sword would come out at any time. If fellow Taoists don't believe it, you can go to Tianyuan realm and ask in the Tianji Tower. Red Scale said again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 454. Tianji Tower. The man's eyes narrowed. This name is very unfamiliar. He can be sure that there is absolutely no such force in the Xianguang realm. In this case, this Tianji Tower should be a force in the Tianyuan realm. Is this the new force that has emerged in the Tianyuan world after I left? The man thought in his heart. He has been away for countless years. In the vicissitudes of the Tianyuan world, countless forces have changed. Some forces have collapsed and some have risen. This is all as it should be. Even if the inheritance he left behind is destroyed, it was not surprising at all. However, this Tianji Tower had some interactions with beings suspected of being from the Xianguang realm, which made his heart feel a little heavier. Nowadays, the Xianguang realm has been completely unified by a force called the Shen dynasty. He is very worried that the Xianguang realm will extend its hand here. Once the other party wants to attack in a big way, I can't resist it alone. Good. Qilin nodded and said softly, Senior Tianji Building Master has vast magical powers. He can know everything in the heavens and the world. Nothing can escape his eyes. If fellow Taoists have any questions, you can go to Tianji Tower and ask them. Oh. The man raised his eyebrows with a slightly surprised expression. He could probably tell that the person speaking in front of him was only at the peak of a true immortal. The person who could be so respected by the other party must be stronger. Maybe. Yes. He is a character in the immortality realm. Could it be said that after he left, there were characters in the Tianyuan realm who arrived in the Tianyuan realm? But the question is, how did the characters in the immortality realm enter the Tianyuan realm and not be rejected? This is simply unbelievable. It seems that some unexpected changes have occurred in the Tianyuan world. The man murmured. Apart from this explanation, he really couldn't figure out how the Tianyuan realm could accommodate an existence in the immortal realm. In other words, since the Tianyuan realm can accommodate the existence of the Tianji Building Master, does it also mean that he can return to his hometown? Originally, he came back with the intention of protecting the Tianyuan realm without stepping into the Tianyuan realm, but now it seems that he can return to his hometown and take a look. Fellow Taoist has been away from Tianyuan realm for too long. He may not be aware of the changes that have taken place in Tianyuan realm in the past 10 years. It is better for fellow Taoist to go to Tianyuan realm and take a look. By then, you will naturally know whether what is said below is true or false. Having said that, fellow Taoist has entered the realm of immortality. An eternal city may not be able to escape your detection, so why should you be aggressive? If the Tianyuan world encounters danger in the future, I, the everlasting city, will naturally not sit idly by and ignore it. Qilin said. Now he is the spokesperson of Heavenly Dao in Tianyuan realm, and Tianhuang Eternal City will fall into Tianyuan realm in the future. Naturally, it is impossible to sit back and watch Tianyuan realm be destroyed. There are indeed some differences between you and the creatures in the Xianguang realm. The man glanced at all the creatures present, pondered for a moment, and said softly. Although the Tianyan realm and the Xianguang realm come from the same source, the Tianyan realm is much more powerful than the Xianguang realm, and there are still some differences in nature. And the man also happened to discover this. He couldn't help but believe a little of what Qilin said. But thinking about what happened in the Xianguang realm, his heart couldn't help but feel a little heavier. He glanced at the person in front of him again, and he still couldn't let go. There are many techniques in the world that can change the origin. What if these people in front of me also used this method? I will go there on my own. I hope the owner of Tianji Tower can come up with information to prove your identity. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. The man said indifferently. The safety of the Tianyuan world is extremely important in his heart. There is no room for any accidents, otherwise, he will not fly back from the chaos. You know, opening a space channel, for him, it is very simple, but this method may expose the existence of the Tianyuan world. When he comes back, the people from the Xianguang world can follow. At that time, he will not return to his hometown in glory, but will bring the enemy with him. Help the other party to destroy the Tianyuan world smoothly, and then he will be the sinner of the entire Tianyuan world. Dare I ask, my friend, what happened in the Xianguang realm? Qilin didn't care much about the man's words and asked. After all, as long as the man goes to Tianji Tower, everything will be revealed. He doesn't even need to go to Tianji Tower. As long as he enters Tianyuan world, he will find that there are some things that he wants to know. Are not the same. The Xianguang realm has become a forest of ghosts and ghosts. The man said lightly. Before he finished speaking, he turned his head and took a deep look at Qilin. The guarded look in his eyes relaxed a little again and said, there is no ghost energy in you. Maybe you really are not from the Xianguang realm. But the man opened his mouth and told him some things. The less you know about them, the better it is for you. It's best not to explore what happened in the Xianguang realm, otherwise it will attract the creatures from the Xianguang realm, and even you and I will not be able to escape. Fellow Taoist, you are worrying too much. Qi Lin shook his head slightly, not taking the man's words to heart. He said firmly, the Tianyuan realm has the master of Tianji building in charge, not to mention the Xianguang realm. Even if the creatures of the Tianyuan realm that have not been divided come, they will not dare to be presumptuous. Ah! The man sneered and said, is this really true? In his opinion, the master of Tianji, whom he has never met before, may be as strong as himself, or even stronger than him, but is this important? In the Xianguang realm, there are not only characters in the immortal realm, but also immortal realm. A character that is truly immortal, hard to kill and hard to destroy. Even if suppressed for hundreds of millions of years, it is difficult to completely refine it. But he can be resurrected and come back in the long river of time. Such a character is not something that ordinary people can resist. More importantly, yes. There are rumors in the Xianguang realm that behind the chaos in the Xianguang realm, there is the figure of an immortal king. This is even more terrifying. There is no immortal king in the Xianguang realm, which means that people from other worlds are also involved. The cause and effect is so great that ordinary people can't investigate all the details. He really can't figure out where the city lord has the confidence to think that a Tianji building master can resist the entire Xianguang realm. Even if he blocks it? What's going on behind the scenes? What if the immortal king takes action? Fellow Taoists may wish to take a trip to Tianji Tower. As long as you enter Tianji Tower, from what I can see below, your doubts will naturally be solved. Qi Lin said softly. The fact that you attach so much importance to Tianji Tower really arouses some curiosity in my heart. The man said lightly. After saying that, the man turned around and walked towards Tianyuan world. Behind him, Jilin took a step forward and asked in a deep voice, how do you call me my friend? This person has returned from the Xianguang realm. It seems that he does not intend to leave the Tianyuan realm. In other words, he will have to face such a powerful existence in the future. Jilin thinks that he needs to ask clearly. In case this person wants to fight with Tiandao. What about enemies? Teishu. In the void? Two words floated from the chaos, echoing throughout the entire Tianhuang Eternal City. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 455. The two words Teishu are still echoing in the void. The man's figure has disappeared. After a long time, everyone came to their senses. Teishu. Hongxuan's face turned pale, and he still had some injuries on his body, but fortunately, he has stabilized now. He thought hard, and suddenly his eyes lit up, and he said in shock. Could he be the founder of the Holy Land of Teishu? Teishu Holy Land. These four words have an extraordinary meaning in the Tianyuan world. Because endless years ago, the ancestor of Teishu Holy Land once helped the Tianyuan world to block a disaster. If Teishu Holy Land had not taken action, maybe the Tianyuan realm had suffered a huge blow at that time. At that time, the Blood Demon realm was extremely powerful. A great emperor came across the border and commanded thousands of troops. In just a few years, he occupied half of the Tianyuan realm. At that time, there was no restricted area emperor to take action, only the ancient emperor Teishu stood up. He and the great emperor of the Blood Demon realm fought against each other for decades, and finally killed him. This battle was recorded in the annals of history by later generations, and it is still remembered by future generations to this day. People are talking about it, and the Holy Land of Teishu has also benefited from this. After all, it has such a passionate love for the Tianyuan world. Even if they decline, there will be no other forces that suppress them too much. Therefore, their influence has continued to this life and cannot be underestimated. After the battle between the two great emperors, everyone thought that the ancient emperor Taishu had passed away. After all, the great emperor of the blood demon realm was not a weakling. If he was suppressed and killed, the ancient emperor Taishu would not be intact, and he might also be injured. The foundation. But what I never expected was that not only did the ancient emperor Taishu not fall, he actually went to other worlds. Now he has become an immortal and has returned again. This is simply unbelievable. It can be foreseen that the holy land of Taishu will be destroyed. Soaring into the sky. The holy land of Taishu. Qi Lin's eyes are deep and his face is calm. No one can see through his thoughts. He is the spokesperson of the world. At this time, a terrifying existence has returned from another world. He doesn't know what this matter means to Tianyuan. In terms of the world, whether it is good or bad, after all, this person is not under his control at all. More importantly, the other party has returned from the Xianguang world. He also brought back an important news. Huge changes have occurred in the Xianguang world. It seems that for other worlds have great ambitions. Will the creatures in this world follow the footsteps of Taishu? If they offend the senior Tianji building master, will the world be destroyed by the senior's palm? Jilin is not worried about the Tianyuan world. But I am a little worried about the Xianguang realm. After all, this is my original hometown, and it was separated from it. It was really destroyed. I always feel that something is missing. Maybe the next world to be merged will be the Xianguang realm. Qi Lin said softly. Xianguang realm. Besides, Hongxian was startled and unbelievable. The city lord is saying that the senior master of Tianji building will integrate the Xianguang realm. Red Scale nodded. This is impossible, right? Hongxian said with a complex expression. Xianguang realm is their hometown. In the past, when he heard the news about Xianguang realm, he would have been overjoyed and wanted to rush back immediately. But it is different now. Xianguang realm is not as good as Tianyuan realm. Moreover, a huge change has occurred. He doesn't want the Xianguang realm to merge. I have a hunch that the possibility of this happening is over 90%. Qi Lin said lightly. 90%. Hongxian was speechless. This is almost a done deal. After the Xianguang realm merges, God knows what will happen. After all, before it came over, the ancient emperor Taishu had already rushed back from the chaos. Even in order not to attract the attention of the Xianguang realm, I haven't dared to use the space channel yet. But now, Senior Tianji building master may directly integrate the Xianguang realm. If this matter comes to the ears of the ancient emperor Taishu, he will probably be dumbfounded on the spot. At the same time, Tianyuan world. On the vast land, a figure walked forward firmly. He carried a long sword on his back and scanned every corner of the world. Although this was still the Tianyuan world, in a sense, it was no longer the Tianyuan world he was familiar with. Billions of years have passed. It can be said that the world has changed, and he can't see any familiar scene. Even has the level of the world changed? The ancient emperor Taishu looked up at the sky and murmured to himself. The original Tianyuan world could never accommodate his existence, but now he has walked in directly, and the world has not rejected him. In other words, the current Tianyuan world realm, you can let him continue to practice. If this was done before, it would be a fantasy. Blood demon realm. The ancient emperor Taishu murmured to himself. There is a familiar atmosphere there. A strong enemy once walked out there, and was finally suppressed by him. Now, I never thought that the blood demon realm and the Tianyuan realm would actually merge into one. No wonder the world level has improved so much. If it is just the fusion of two worlds, Tianyuan world is not enough for me to step into, there should be other worlds. The next moment, Taishu ancient emperor changed direction. That was the Zixuan realm. He saw Emperor Bai Li, the ancestor of Yugzu Palace and others in the earthly immortal realm. There are two worlds. At this moment, the Taishu ancient emperor understood. In such a long period of love, the world that merged with the Tianyuan world was not only the blood demon world, but also two other worlds. These two worlds were of very high levels. One of them even has several true immortals, which can occupy a large territory in the Xianguang realm. It is simply strange that several worlds merged into one, and they can live in peace, and each world is not damaged. Is this someone eliminating the aftermath? The Taishu ancient emperor frowned, his eyes full of confusion. He really couldn't figure out how these worlds managed to live in peace and harmony. After all, as far as the tip of the iceberg he saw, the farthest one was world. Their overall strength has surpassed other worlds. As long as they are willing, they can easily destroy other worlds. But what is incredible is that that world actually stands still. It is as if there is an invisible hand in the dark, controlling all of this, allows hundreds of millions of living beings to act in accordance with his will. Could it be the Tianji Tower that the man mentioned just now? The ancient Emperor Taishu had a thoughtful look in his eyes. There was only one place in the entire Tianyuan world that he couldn't see through, and that was the great wilderness city within the territory of the Tianyan dynasty. He had the intention to go, but out of caution, he gave up the idea. Thoughts? After he understands this world, it is not too late to go. Anyway, it has not been a day or two since Tianji Tower appeared, and he will not leave easily. The top priority. He wants to go and see if the Holy Land of Taishu still exists in the world. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 456. Tianyuan World. The Holy Land of Taishu. Several days have passed since the battle in the earthly immortal realm. But in every corner of the world, there are still signs of war. In particular, powerful forces such as Taishu Holy Land, Ye Clan, Golden Crow Clan, etc., almost every force has suffered moderate trauma. Among the Ye Clan, the ancestor's body was shattered and could not recover for tens of thousands of years. It is said that the Ye Clan has sent people to the Tianji Tower. No one knows the specific news yet. But even if the master of Tianji points out an opportunity, it will take some time to fully recover. As for the Holy Land of Taishu, as well as the Golden Crow clan, many high-level officials have fallen, and more than half of the people above the saint level have seriously fallen. Wanting to completely recover within 10,000 years is tantamount to wishful thinking. After all, if a saint-level person wants to grow up, it will take at least thousands of years. At this time, the atmosphere in the Holy Land of Taishu was solemn. Every disciple was dressed in plain clothes and had a solemn face. The atmosphere was depressing, and bursts of sorrow and joy echoed among the divine peaks. The Holy Land that used to be filled with a peaceful atmosphere became depressing at this moment. In the battle a few days ago, all the secrets of the Holy Land of Taishu were revealed, and the leader's death caused the entire Holy Land of Taishu to suffer a huge blow. You must know that he was a figure at the top of the list of holy lords. As long as he does not fall in the future, at least a saint king will be stable. Judging from the current integration of the world, it is not impossible for their original master to become an emperor, but because of the battle in the earthly immortal realm, the master was gone. And at this time, the Holy Son of Taishu has not yet grown up. This also led to the Holy Land of Taishu falling into an embarrassing situation of being out of business for a while. The headmaster has died, and the Holy Son is not strong enough to be in the heavenly transformation realm, so it is difficult for him to take on important responsibilities. I am afraid that the future of the Holy Land of Taishu will be a bit difficult. In front of the mountain gate, A Taishu Holy Land disciple said with a solemn expression. Senior brother, what do you mean by this? On the other side of the mountain gate, the same Taishu Holy Land disciple, with a puzzled look on his face, chuckled and said the crisis in the earthly immortal realm has been lifted. Although our Taishu Holy Land has been hit hard, the foundation remains. With the imperial soldiers suppressing them, no one would dare to disrespect the Holy Land of Taishu at this time. A skinny camel is bigger than a horse. After all, the Holy Land of Taishu has produced a great emperor. Even though it has been too long ago, over the years, Holy Land of Taishu has been able to become a behemoth. There must be something outstanding. As long as the mountain gate is closed, it will be stable. After a period of time, when the Holy Son of Taishu grows up, they in the Holy Land of Taishu can still stand at the pinnacle of the Tianyuan world. You don't understand this. The disciple who spoke just now smiled narrowly and said casually, a few days ago, the list of geniuses in our Tianyuan world was updated. One of our Taishu Holy Land disciples is on the list. Is there anything wrong with this? Another disciple, still puzzled, said before, there was only one sect, the Logo Sword sect, with 2 disciples on the list of geniuses. Now our Holy Land of Taishu can do the same. Doesn't it mean that people dare not underestimate me, Taishu, holy place? Ah! The disciple who spoke just now sneered and said, you can't say that. Our Taishu Holy Land is different from the great Logo Sword section. The disciple who just made the list is the son of the second elder. And the Holy Son is the son of the previous headmaster. Now that the previous headmaster has died, the position of the Holy Son may have to be replaced. After all, the call for the second elder to become the headmaster is still very high within the sect. It's fine if the second elder's son is incompetent. He only needs to become the headmaster. There is no need to change the saint's son. But the problem is that his son is also amazing and talented, and now he is also on the list of geniuses. Then it is reasonable to change the Holy Son, but once this is done, in the entire Holy Land of Taishu, the original supporters of the headmaster will definitely disagree. After all, if the Holy Son is changed, the position of headmaster will almost be said goodbye in the future. In this case, what status do they have in the Holy Land of Taishu? On the contrary, they are the figures of the second elder's lineage. They are all arrogant during this period. They have retained a lot of vitality in the battle in the earthly immortal realm, and now they are enough control the situation of the entire Holy Land of Taishu. As long as nothing unexpected happens, after a while, when the second elder takes over, the position of the Holy Son will almost be settled. It's just a matter of changing the headmaster and the saint's son, so it shouldn't be that serious. Another disciple said a little uncertainly. Not that serious. The disciple just now squinted his eyes and said calmly, do you think those in high positions have no desires or desires? I'm telling you today, people who are stronger will have stronger greed. If there is a conflict between the connections left behind by the previous headmaster and the current second elder, I am sure that the Holy Land of the first beginning will be even worse and worse, and even fall into ruin. What to do? Another disciple suddenly panicked. They are just outer disciples, and their daily duties are just guarding the gate. Matters such as the handover of power have nothing to do with them. The scary thing is that a fire at the city gate will affect Chayu. They are soft-spoken, and even if they die, no one will feel sorry for them. After all, there are hundreds of thousands of such outer disciples in the Holy Land of Taishu. Many people worship the sect every year, and at the same time, some people are sent back down the mountain every year. At present, there are only 2 ways to avoid this disaster for the Holy Land of Taishu. The disciple who spoke just now stretched out 2 fingers and said loudly. Those 2. Another disciple's eyes lit up and he asked. The first one is that the senior master of Tianji Tower came forward to keep the position of the Holy Son of Taishu unchanged. In this way, our Holy Land of Taishu no longer has any worries. Well, Please tell me about the second one. Another disciple said, discouraged. What kind of person is Master Tianji? How can he take care of the family affairs of Taishu Holy Land? If Master Tianji comes forward, he will probably pack the entire Holy Land of Taishu and send it to Tianji Tower. It is estimated that even the senior master of Tianji will look down upon him. After all, the reason why the earthly immortal realm was defeated was because the senior Tianji building master randomly sent a subordinate from the true immortal realm. His family members are so powerful. It is unrealistic to interfere in the affairs of the Holy Land of Taishu. Cough. The disciple who just spoke coughed slightly to cover up his embarrassment. He also knew that what he said was unrealistic, but since he had spoken, he could only continue speaking. The second way is to resurrect our ancestors from the Holy Land of Taishu. When another disciple heard this, his eyes widened immediately. The second method of love is even more unreliable than the first one. After all, the master of Tianji is in the Tianyuan world, but where are their own ancestors? They are all dead. I don't know how many years ago. The grass on the grave is estimated to be 3,000 feet high. How can I resurrect from the dead? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 457. According to what you say, there will be civil strife in the Holy Land of Taishu sooner or later. Another disciple murmured. In today's world, apart from my two methods, who else dares to interfere with the affairs of Taishu Holy Land? The disciple who spoke just now said helplessly. The Holy Land of Taishu is also a top sect after all. Without their approval, anyone who rashly joins in will probably be in trouble. Well. Thinking of the future decline of the Holy Land of Taishu, the two of them sighed at the same time. Such an obvious thing. They, the outer disciples, can all see it. Naturally, the elders can also see it. It's a pity. They all have different positions. Even the Supreme Elder is not exempt from the secular. Without the intervention of external forces, it is estimated that a battle is inevitable. They have just experienced the events in the earthly immortal realm. They have also caught up with the competition for the position of the leader. Can the Holy Land of Taishu its best to survive it? If you can't resist it, it's not impossible to decline and then disappear. Our Holy Land of Taishu has been to Tianji Tower several times before. Maybe the senior owner of Tianji Tower will not sit back and watch the decline of Holy Land of Taishu. After all, the immortal world is still there. The Tianyuan world cannot be without the power of our Taishu Holy Land. As long as he said a word, the Holy Land of Taishu could wait for the Holy Sun to grow up and survive this disaster safely. The disciple next to me said with hope. Oh! A soft sound came. The wind was light and the clouds were light. How? The resurrection of the ancestor of the Holy Land of Taishu is not as good as a word from the master of Tianji. The sound of crisp footsteps came. At the foot of the mountain, a man wearing a moon-white robe, carrying a long sword on his back, walked up step by step from the foot of the mountain. He walked very slowly, with a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. Who is this person? Although the ancestor is powerful, he is still a great emperor. How can the great emperor be comparable to the senior Tianji building master? The two disciples said without thinking. They were confident that they would not compare their ancestors with Master Tianji, because there was no need to compare. Facts have proved everything. Senior Master Tianji, let alone in the Tianyuan world, is among all the world of heaven and earth, is also a supreme existence that cannot be desecrated. Is it? The man strode forward with a calm expression. Although he did not show any momentum, he had a unique temperament. It was a temperament that suppressed the world forever and made me invincible. He seemed to represent the Emperor of Heaven, representing eternity, and the avenue, with black hair, shawl and majestic appearance. He was like an immortal monument, walking out of the long river of time. When he came to the mountain gate, he stood there quietly, and there was an air of immortality flowing around him, as if he is a banished immortal who came from the immortal world to the mortal world. You. The disciple who spoke first took a careful look at the person in front of him. He rubbed his eyes and felt that this person seemed familiar, but for a while he couldn't think of where he had seen him before. I would like to ask you, what is the important matter when you come to the holy land of Taisha today? As a gatekeeper of a holy land, you must have the necessary eyesight. After all, not everyone comes to visit with great fanfare. What if, because of one of your unintentional words, you offend the other party and set a good example for the holy land of Taishu? If they are a big enemy, then their sins will be huge. Returning again after hundreds of millions of years, the holy land of Taishu remains the same as before. What do you mean by this? The two disciples were confused. This Taishu holy land was established by the ancestor. Naturally, they, the younger generation, dare not change the plants and trees of the Taishu holy land without authorization. Some ancient buildings are said to have been decorated by the ancestor. From then on, they were preserved countless years ago. And these buildings have now become a symbol of the rich heritage of the holy land of Taishu. After all, so many ancient buildings can be preserved, which also shows the power of the holy land of Taishu. Sects that are not strong have long been destroyed. Let alone buildings, not even a piece of rubble remains. I have returned to the Tianyuan realm this time and have been walking for more than a day. The creatures of all races in all realms highly respect the master of the Tianji building. Could it be that you, the founder of the mountain, are not as good as the master of the Tianji building in your hearts? The man asked instead. This question has troubled him for a while. Today I saw his descendant and I just wanted to ask. Your Excellency joked. These two disciples have strange expressions. Tianji Tower has been around for a long time, and it can be said that no one knows about it. Now, suddenly a person ran up to him and asked which one was his ancestor or the owner of Tianji Tower. The weight is heavier, do you even need to ask? You're kidding. No matter how strong your ancestor is, he can't compare to the master of Tianji. Although these two people think so in their hearts, they definitely can't say it with their mouths. After all, there is a sense of suspicion of deceiving one's master and destroying one's ancestors. Our founder of the holy land of Taishu, in the past, he suppressed Unia, commanded all races, and even suppressed a great emperor with his own hands. Naturally, others cannot compare with him. But the master of Tianji is different from my ancestor. The senior Tianji building master has integrated all the worlds, allowing countless creatures to benefit from it. Even ordinary people, after experiencing the fusion of worlds, their longevity has been greatly increased, let alone cultivators. These words are relatively obscure. However, the meaning is very clear. That is, the former only created an immortal sect, while the other benefited all living beings. The two are not the same at all. So, I am not as good as him. The man smiled casually and said softly. His disciples all think that they are not as good as the master of Tianji, so there is no need for the others to ask. Asking too many questions is nothing more than humiliating oneself. Hearing this sentence, the two disciples looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. The disciple on the left turned around, cupped his hands towards the man, and asked again. You came to Taishu Holy Land today to visit a certain elder? Or is there something else? If it's an important matter, I can explain it to you. If it's a minor matter, please come back another day. I'm the Supreme Master and I've just become a Taoist. It's inconvenient. I came to the Holy Land of Taishu to see how the sect I founded with my own hands is doing now. The man spoke calmly. As soon as these words came out, it was like a bolt from the blue, exploding in the void. The next moment, boom! A loud noise came out. In the direction of the back mountain of Taishu Holy Land, a power like Wanyang surged, and the fairy light rolled all over the sky. It was so powerful that it suddenly flooded the area tens of thousands of miles away. Buzz! A large flag flew across the sky, as white as jade, like an ancient creature. It suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. It was terrifying and boundless. It stood in the sky and had the power to cross 30,000 realms. That is. A disciple looked at the sky, horrified, and said, "My imperial soldiers from the holy land of Taishu." Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 458. The Supreme Chi machine was released, causing all the Taishu Holy Land disciples to fall to the ground on the spot. From the Supreme Elder to the ordinary disciples, they were all the same at this moment. No one can maintain fighting power under this kind of power. This kind of supremacy, the sole authority of heaven and earth, makes everyone tremble with fear. Why did the imperial soldiers suddenly appear? Could it be that someone triggered the imperial soldiers? A person of the same lineage as the leader? How could they be so bold and not hesitate to take action in the Holy Land in order to compete for the position of leader? Wrong. It wasn't someone who triggered the imperial soldiers, it was the imperial soldiers who revived on their own. The people in Taishu Holy Land were extremely shocked. The emperor's soldiers, who had been peaceful for hundreds of millions of years, had never woken up and appeared in the world like they did today, as if they had encountered something important. The emperor's soldiers have spirit. Many people in the holy land of Taishu can feel the joy, surprise, and excitement of the imperial soldiers. It was as if he had seen the ancient emperor Taishu of the past. But how is this possible? How could the ancestor be resurrected and come back after I don't know how many years have passed since his death? Can be next. They were stunned. I saw. The imperial soldiers flew across the sky, like golden crows falling from the west, filling the sky with brilliance, dyeing the sky red, and a large flag roared, exuding the power of God. In the eyes of countless people who couldn't believe it, the flag fell into the hands of a man in white. This man has a majestic posture, standing in front of the mountain gate of the holy land of Taishu, with warm eyes, holding the imperial weapon in one hand and carrying it behind his back in the other. His grace at that moment made countless people seem to have returned to the ancient times. He stood there quietly, and his supreme power shocked hundreds of millions of miles around and could not be reached far away. This is. Many elders in Taishu Holy Land fell into a daze when they saw this scene. They are not ordinary disciples. Each of them has been practicing for thousands of years. It can be said that they are very familiar with this man's face. Ancestor. An elder from the Holy Land of Taishu said in disbelief. A person who had been inactive for countless years appeared in front of him alive again today. No one could keep calm. This was too unbelievable. For the first time, everyone was shocked. They thought that this was someone else pretending to be their ancestor. After all, this method of changing appearance was too common in the cultivation world. But after taking a look at the actions of the imperial soldiers, they understood that they were overthinking and waiting for others. You may admit the wrong person, but the imperial soldiers of the Holy Land of Taishu have been passed down from a long time ago. And they have followed their ancestors for hundreds of thousands of years, so there is absolutely no mistake. Is it possible that the ancestor did not sit down and die back then? Someone said in shock. If this is really the case, then the ancestor's strength. Countless years have passed, and since the ancestor has not died in such a long time, he must be extremely terrified. After all, long life is sometimes a symbol of strength. I'm not strong enough and I can't live that long. That should be it. A supreme elder took a deep breath. His eyes became brighter and brighter. He looked at the supreme figure in the sky, lowered his head first, and shouted loudly. Shen Qian, a disciple of Taishu Holy Land, pays homage to the ancestor. Disciple pays homage to the ancestor. Disciple pays homage to the ancestor. Disciple pays homage to the ancestor. The loud voice gathered together, shook the stars in the sky, and spread to all directions. At this moment, countless people in the entire Tianyuan world looked towards the Holy Land of Taishu. This kind of power is really too great. They couldn't ignore it, especially when the imperial soldiers appeared in the world just now and were so powerful that they couldn't ignore them even if they wanted to. Get up! The man whispered. As soon as the words came out, the sound was like the roar of the heavenly voice, shaking the 3 realms and 6 realms. The entire vast land was trembling, and the clouds in 10 directions disappeared. These words seemed to indicate his return, and even more so. It is like proving to the entire Tianyuan world, and even all the worlds, that the Holy Land of Taishu is about to reach a higher level. The ancient emperor of Taishu, with flying white clothes and majestic body, has a peerless grace that suppresses the 3,000 worlds and spans eternity. In him all over his body, divine light rushed into the night, and a wisp of breath escaped. The entire Holy Land of Taishu seemed to be resurrected. The energy rushed into the bullfight, causing the star field to tremble and the heavens to shake together. He stepped down from the void, between heaven and earth. There are golden lotuses blooming, swaying, and filling the sky with brilliance, making this place look like a sacred land. Ancestor! Countless disciples of the Holy Land of Taishu were trembling and kowtow in worship. They were completely out of control. Especially Shen Qian, who had just spoken. She was bursting with tears. Because the ancient emperor of Taishu long ago, his name was also Shen. Yes. Said. Another identity of the ancient emperor of Taishu is that he is the ancestor of their Shen clan, but he did not choose to create his own imperial clan, but stayed in the Holy Land of Taishu. He brought the Holy Land of Taishu to an unprecedented height. That's right. Therefore, the Shen family has a pivotal position in the entire Holy Land of Taishu. The Holy Lord Taishu who fell before was surnamed Shen, and the same is true for the current Holy Son of Taishu. Originally, after the fall of the Holy Lord, their status began to become less stable. But now that the ancestor has returned, he can finally let go of his worries. Get up! The ancient emperor of Taishu fell to the ground. He walked steadily, looked down at everything, his eyes were as deep as the stars, and said lightly, "The Holy Land of Taishu still exists after countless years, and your contribution is not small." This sentence was not loud, but it was clearly transmitted to the ears of countless people. It was the sentence that shattered Xiaojuju in everyone's hearts. Some people who originally coveted the position of head teacher, quickly wiped out the last little thought. At this time, if you don't know whether to live or die and want to fight for the position of leader at all costs, you are looking for death. Ancestor! Shen Qian held up his hands and wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, he was interrupted by Taishu ancient emperor. The man looked at him deeply and said softly, "I understand your intentions, but if you all practice the method I passed down, you will all be my successors. That Tianji Tower Master can still treat every living being in the world equally. Although I am not as good as him, I regard every Taishu Holy Land disciple as my descendant." As soon as these words came out, countless people were extremely ashamed. Everyone present understood that this was the ancient Emperor Taishu slapping his descendants. Don't think highly of yourself in the Holy Land of Taishu and treat this place as your descendant just because you are your direct descendant. Garden. People who are not members of the Shen family are even more ashamed. The ancient Emperor Taishu regards himself and others as descendants, but he still wants to seize power. This is somewhat ungrateful. After all, the Holy Land of Taishu can achieve today's achievements. With Taishu the ancient emperor has an inseparable relationship. Soon. A great catastrophe may be coming to the Tianyuan world. You must not start any more disputes at this time. The ancient Emperor Taishu glanced at the direction of his return and whispered to himself. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 459. Catastrophe. Several elders of Taishu Holy Land were keenly aware of this sentence. Is it possible? The ancestor returned because of this matter? In their eyes, it is difficult to see how far the ancient emperor of Taishu has reached in his cultivation, but in the eyes of the other party, it can be called a catastrophe. It is definitely not something that I and others can resist. Dare I ask the ancestor, what kind of disaster is it? Shen Kayang asked in a low voice. A catastrophe that will sweep across all worlds. The ancient Emperor Taishu seemed to have seen a terrifying scene, his pupils shrank slightly, and a chill spread across his back. He said in a deep voice, under the great catastrophe, all races have withered, and no one can avoid it. This. Several elders looked at each other. After hearing the words of the ancestor, the original nervousness relaxed a lot. If it were other disasters, it would be nothing, but such a terrifying thing. To be honest, they weren't worried anymore. Because in the Tianyuan world, there is a senior Tianji building master sitting in charge. Looking at all the worlds, when that person comes, he must not be honest and dare not be presumptuous. To be honest. If it is a small disaster, such as if it only targets their Taishu Holy Land, they may still be worried, because in this case, the senior Tianji building master may ignore it. But if it affects the whole world, then this wave is stable. Let's take a look at the previous burial emperor. He originally planned to destroy the world, but after the senior Tianji poster took action, he still wasn't honest. Now, the ancestor says that a great disaster is coming. It would be okay if he didn't come, but if he came, they could be sure that the senior Tianji poster would definitely make the other party unable to eat and walk around in circles. The ancient emperor of Taishu frowned. He was keenly aware that the people around him didn't care much, which made him feel quite unhappy. He traveled hundreds of millions of miles across chaos and spent countless years before he came back. The main purpose is to bring this news back to see if the Tianyuan world can avoid this disaster. Why, no one here seems to be worried at all. You know. In the world that is so powerful, in the Xianguang world, there are immortal characters. Being in charge, doesn't it mean that if you don't have it, you'll be gone? You are too undisciplined. The Taishu ancient emperor's voice became heavier. There was a hint of reprimand in it. In his view, at this time, the Tianyuan world has unique conditions. With the advancement of the world level, everyone should practice hard in seclusion to cope with the changes in the future. Ancestor. A supreme elder took a step forward, considered his words, and asked softly, I dare to ask the ancestor, I wonder if the great calamity mentioned by the ancestor refers to a certain person or a certain force. Do you want to know? The ancient emperor Taishu turned around, glanced at the elder, and said lightly. Yes. The elder nodded. It doesn't matter if I tell you to wait. This matter involves a higher world. It is said to come from a supreme world. You may have never heard of it. The ancient emperor of Taishu glanced at everyone with pity. His strength is too low. Sometimes it is a kind of happiness. The less you know, the less you worry. Just like everyone in the holy land of Taishu now. The great calamity I speak of refers to a force. Its name is the underworld. The founder was a taboo figure. No one knew his true name at that time. Although he knew that he had died long ago, a descendant from the underworld recently found a way to resurrect him. If he were resurrected and returned, all heavens and realms would probably perish completely. Hell. The supreme elders of Taishu Holy Land all looked strange. Have you heard of it? The ancient emperor of Taishu looked surprised. He had a panoramic view of everyone's performance in the past few days. There was neither shock nor fear on everyone's face. Some of them were all weird, as if this was not the first time they heard about it. See, at this scene, the Taishu ancient emperor couldn't help but feel his heart sink. Could it be that the hand of the underworld has already reached here? What a quick move. Well. Shen Qian coughed dryly, cupped her hands towards the ancient emperor Taishu, and said, "To be honest with you, ancestor, this junior and others have indeed heard of the name of the underworld once. In fact, I can't say I've heard of it." But he witnessed with his own eyes the scene of the underworld being destroyed. The Hades emperor of the earthly immortal realm back then, the forces under her command were not the underworld. When he stepped into the Zixuan realm, he was extremely arrogant. He was able to fight against several emperors by himself, and he did not fall behind. The Zixuan realm he fought was only able to parry, but had no power to fight back. If Emperor Bai Li hadn't become an immortal at the critical moment, half of the current Zixuan realm would have fallen into the hands of the underworld. But for such a powerful force, what will be the result? Wasn't he personally buried by the immortal lord of the earthly immortal realm and Emperor Bai Li of the Zixuan realm? The current underworld, without the underworld emperor, has fallen from the top power to the second rate. Although it has not been destroyed, the situation can be said to be dire. The reason why this force has been retained in the earthly immortal world is because Emperor Hades is only missing, not dead. If she never comes back, we can almost predict what the future will be like in the underworld. Oh! The ancient emperor of Taishu raised his eyebrows, and a flash of awe-inspiring light flashed in his eyes, like a divine sword, cutting open the heaven and the earth. He secretly said that it was true. The underworld still stretched out its hand. Where is the underworld now? Others don't know it clearly, but he knows it clearly. Generally, the subordinate forces in the underworld have a token in their hands, which can be used to locate their position in the heavens and the world. As long as they hold this token, people in the underworld can confirm the location. Then, cross over from the distant chaos. The top priority is that he must snatch this jade tablet and send it away. As for destroying it, he has never thought about it. This is a high-level figure in the underworld. It may have been refined by an immortal king. He is not a person in the immortality realm. He can destroy it just by destroying it. Hell! Shen Qian glanced at her ancestor awkwardly, spread her hands, and said helplessly, "To be honest with you, ancestor, the underworld is gone. The underworld emperor who founded the underworld is now missing. Nowadays, the only remaining people from the underworld are still in the immortal world. It is said that there is not even a saint left. If the ancestor wants to find the whereabouts of Emperor Hades, he might as well go to Tianji Tower and ask the senior owner of Tianji Tower. He is probably the only one in the world who knows the current whereabouts of Emperor Underworld. And talk about this." He did not continue speaking, but secretly glanced at his ancestor. "And what?" the ancient Emperor Taishu said displeasedly. "And if the ancestor is worried about the Tianyuan world, he can even ask the senior Tianji building owner when the disaster will come." Shen Qian spoke again. "Or, you can ask the senior owner of Tianji Tower how to block the underworld from Tianyuan realm. With the strength of the senior Tianji building master, there must be a way to turn the situation around." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 460. The ancient Emperor Taishu's expression changed. He was secretly shocked. Since returning to the Tianyuan world, the words he heard the most were the 4 words Tianji Lozu, and almost everyone put them on their lips. Is it possible? Is this Tianji poster really so terrifying? Can he even accurately calculate when the underworld will come? If this is the case, it would be too scary. He has seen many people who are good at deducing Tianji, but he can calculate it. The master of Tianji who acted in the underworld is considered to be the first. After all, the underworld is not a soft persimmon. If their actions are easily calculated by others, they are not worthy of being called the underworld. If this is really the case, I must go to Tianji Tower and his entourage. The ancient emperor Taishu murmured. The ancestor didn't know something. Shen Qiang said slowly, Senior Tianji building master, he claims to know everything. When our ancestors went to Tianji building, as long as you can think of it, Senior Tianji building master can point out a clear path. Oh! The ancient emperor Taishu's expression changed, and he chuckled and said, what if I want to go one step further? After the immortal realm, there is the immortal king. He has been yearning for this kind of strength that can cross the long river of time for a long time. If he can step into this realm, even if the underworld comes, he will not be afraid at all. Anyway, the current underworld is, there should be no immortal emperor sitting in charge. As an immortal king, it is not a problem at all to block the underworld of the Xianguang realm. Should. Shen Qiang pondered for a moment, weighing in her mind which one was stronger between her ancestor and the senior Tianji building master. After thinking for a while, in his heart, he thinks that the master of Tianji is better. It shouldn't be difficult. Shen Qiang spit out 4 words. Since the master of Tianji is stronger, it shouldn't be a problem to give some guidance to his ancestor. Is it? The ancient emperor of Taishu clicked his tongue. At this moment, he was also a little moved. He was used to hearing about the deeds of the master of Tianji. It would be a pity if he didn't go to see this mysterious existence. What if he, his descendants, said that are they all true? In addition, before he entered the Tianyuan realm, the figure at the peak of the true immortal realm also had great respect for the master of Tianji. The curiosity in his heart had completely reached its peak at this time. His descendants, with low strength, maybe he couldn't see the essence of the matter clearly. That figure at the peak of the true immortal peak should know some details. Thinking of this, the ancient emperor Taishu made up his mind instantly, and he said, I will go to the Tianji tower now, you guys will wait. Practice well and don't slack off. Yes. The Taishu Holy Land disciples all saluted. As soon as he finished speaking, the Taishu ancient emperor took a step forward, disappeared in an instant, and reappeared, already in front of Dawang city. At the same time, in front of Tianji building, the leader of the Qin clan held an imprisoned figure in his hand and stepped into the Tianji tower. Junior Qin Xianlang, let's meet the senior master of Tianji. As soon as he came in, the Qin clan leader saluted directly and put his status at the lowest level. You must know that even if he is an elder from an ordinary holy land, when he enters the Tianji tower, he says he is paying homage. And he, a dignified clan leader of the Qin clan, the strength has reached the level of the great emperor. With one word, the entire earth immortal world will be shaken. At this moment, he shouted kowtow. The meaning of this is completely different. The body is lying on the ground. Qin Xianlang, there were mixed feelings in his heart. Originally, he didn't need to be like this, but when he came, he got the news. That is, his ancestor is gone. A person at the pinnacle of the true fairyland is gone, and the rest it is debatable how much weight the Qin clan still has in the eyes of senior Tianji Lozhu. Although the Qin clan still has several great emperors in charge. But is this important? Tianji Lozhu does not need to take action, as long as a word leaks out. In the current Tianyuan world, Zixuan world, and even the earthly immortal world, I don't know how many forces will rush forward regardless of their own safety and completely annihilate the Qin family. It can be said that the current Qin family is not as good as the underworld after all. The underworld emperor is not dead. and there is no conflict between the underworld and Tianji Tower. But their ancestor is really dead. The key is that he offended Tianji Tower. Although the news of the death of their ancestor, it is still top secret for the time being, and only the top brass of the Qin family and the owner of the Tianji family know about it, but who can be sure that the owner of the Tianji family will keep it secret for them? Once the news leaks out, the Qin family will be in doom. Qin Xianlang. In the Tianji building. Li Yun was lying on a bench, holding a scroll in his hand. He did not reveal any aura around his body, but he seemed to be integrated with Zhou Tian. It was as if he had become the master of this world. There is no doubt that Li Yun's strength has improved again, because during this period, he has accumulated a lot of secret points, and has easily raised his strength to the peak of the immortality realm. After all, the current top combat power in Tianyuan world has become Taishu Ancient Emperor. After getting the news, the first thing he has to do is to be on an equal footing with the other party. What if the other party has the same plan as the ancestor of the Qin family and wants to try his own skills? He is blocked in the Tianji Tower, he doesn't want to see this scene, so improving his strength is always the first priority in his eyes. The younger generation misdisciplined the tribesmen and offended the master of Tianji, Tianwei. Please punish the senior master. Qin Xianlang said sincerely. Punishment? Ah. Li Yun chuckled, turned over and sat up. He first glanced at Qin Xianlang, and then set his eyes on the fifth elder who had his senses blocked. A trace of interesting look flashed in his eyes. No, it can be seen that the Qin clan leader's methods are quite ruthless. He directly destroyed the fifth elder's cultivation. Now the other party is a useless person, with only a glimmer of life left, relying entirely on elixirs. The Qin clan leader, so this is done to avoid unnecessary complications. If the fifth elder runs away halfway, then he will be guilty of a big crime. At least the fifth elder is also a great emperor, and he still has some methods. If the other party runs away, he himself may avoid a disaster. After all, the owner of Tianji Tower may not hunt him down personally, but the Qin family is in dire straits. Their family has a big business and they can't escape even if they want to. Release his seal. Li Yun put down the book in his hand and said lightly. Junior, obey. Qin Xianlang didn't dare to disobey, and hurriedly said with his hands raised. He stretched out his hand, and a symbol flashed in the palm of his hand, blooming with rays of brilliance, imprinted on the eyebrows of the fifth elder. The next moment, the fifth elder woke up leisurely, and on the first day he woke up, for a moment, he took a look at the surrounding environment. When he saw Qin Xuanlang's appearance, his heart suddenly sank to the bottom. Is this Tianji Tower? The fifth elder said in a hoarse voice. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 461. Good. Li Yun said lightly. Are you the owner of Tianji? The fifth elder seemed to have been struck by thunder, and his body froze in place. His eyes were dull, and the fear in his heart began to spread without limit. No one knew better than him what he had done. Before, he was thinking bringing Master Tianji down from the altar. Unexpectedly, Master Tianji was actually terrifying to the extreme. Just one of his subordinates was at the peak of a true immortal, crushing his ancestor. What about his own strength? In the face of absolute strength, any conspiracy becomes ridiculous. I have to say that your eyesight is much worse than that of the ancestors of your Qin clan. Li Yun said with a smile. Although he was smiling, this smile in the eyes of the fifth elder gave people a chilling feeling. Senior, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I am willing to be a bull and a horse. The fifth elder quickly begged for mercy. Pity. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Li Yun. Your ancestors have already used this set of rhetoric. Li Yun glanced at the other party, And Feng Qingyun said calmly, having said that, your idea is still good. You want to drive away the tiger and devour the wolf, and attract a more powerful person to fight against me. But it is a pity that, looking at all the worlds, there may be no such person who can achieve your goal. So, your plan was wrong from the beginning. These words were spoken very slowly, but in the ears of those present, they were no less than thunderous. The Qin clan leader's face was filled with bitterness. Is this the strength of the master of Tianji? The plan of emotional Lao Wu, from the beginning, it was all under the eyes of Master Tianji. The reason why he didn't take action before was probably because he didn't take it to heart. Moreover, everyone in the entire world was not taken seriously by Master Tianji. It's ridiculous that the fifth elder actually did this. Wanting to go against it can no longer be summed up as seeking death. Now, the entire Qin clan has been dragged into the water, and it is impossible to be alone. I hope that the master of Tianji will only eliminate the chief culprit and not involve other Qin clan members. Senior, this person is disrespectful to the Tianji tower. The junior has already brought him here and asks the senior to forgive him. The junior does not dare to expect anything extravagantly. He only asks the senior to forgive other members of the Qin clan. Qin Xianlang said. Qin Xianlang. The fifth elder suddenly turned around and looked at Qin Xianlang with his eyes. Even now, he still finds it difficult to accept that he was betrayed by the clan leader. After all, he has contributed and shed blood for the Qin clan. Lao Wu, some things always have to pay a price. Qin Xianlang lowered his eyes and said softly. That's right, some things do come with a price. Li Yun nodded. With a flick of his finger, a ray of red light flew out and engulfed the fifth elder. He immediately disappeared into the world, as if he had never appeared before. Click. In the Qin clan, another jade tablet was broken. Many elders stood around and looked at the broken jade tablet. Some people sighed softly. If nothing else, the clan leader should have rushed to Tianji Tower. The fifth elder's soul jade tablet was shattered. Apart from Tianji building master who took action to kill him, they really couldn't think of anyone else who dared to kill the fifth elder at this juncture. Perhaps, in just a few moments, the fate of our Qin family can be determined. The great elder of the Qin clan inadvertently clenched the crutch in his hand. He raised his head and looked into the void outside. There were already many powerful auras dormant there. At this time, how could he not understand that the Qin clan has come to its destruction? On the edge. The reason why these people came here is to keep an eye on the Qin family, fearing that they will suddenly run away at this time. As long as the news of Tianji Tower spreads, these people will definitely attack the Qin family as soon as possible. A group of people take action. After all, the speed at which news spreads is always the fastest. Senior Tianji building master, shouldn't he take action against our Qin family, right? After all, we pose no threat to Tianji Tower. An elder said softly. It depends on whether the clan leader can come out of the Tianji Tower alive. The great elder said slowly. If the clan leader dies, there is no doubt that the master of Tianji is sending a signal to countless people, that is, there is no need for the Qin clan to exist. But if the clan leader comes out alive, it will prove that, the owner of Tianji still has plans to keep them. All the elders of the Qin clan came back to their senses. They all turned their heads and looked at the clan leader's soul jade tablet. Fortunately, the clan leader's jade tablet was still intact. That proves that the owner of Tianji has no intention of killing him. At this time, Tianji Tower. The atmosphere was very solemn. Qin Xianlang was still kneeling on the ground. Li Yun did not let him get up. He did not dare to get up rashly. Because he also understands that this is a critical moment related to the future of the Qin family. Senior. Qin Xianlang spoke. Get up. But before he finished speaking, he heard three words that sounded like the sound of nature. "Senior, have you let my Qin family go?" Qin Xianlang said in disbelief. "When did I say that?" Li Yun said lightly. "But senior, just now." The head of the Qin clan was puzzled. "I don't take your Qin clan to heart yet, but what the fifth elder of your Qin clan does is inseparably linked to your Qin clan." Li Yun sat back on the chair, tapped his fingers on the table, and said slowly, "So, the Qin family can be exempted from death penalty, but they cannot escape from living crime. I don't know, senior, how do you plan to deal with it?" The leader of the Qin clan asked tentatively. "From today on, the Qin clan will obey my orders. Do you have any objection?" Li Yun said slowly. As he said, he doesn't care about the current Qin family. The reason why he wants the Qin family to be used by him is because of its future potential. In Qin Xianlang, before coming to Tianji Tower, Li Yun took the time to check the future of the Qin family. After tens of millions of years, this family will give birth to a son of luck. His future achievements will be at least a quasi-immortal emperor. Character. Although he is not an immortal emperor, even if he is a quasi-immortal emperor, it will take countless epochs to give birth to one in all the worlds. It can be said that the potential of the Qin family in the future cannot be underestimated. If he is pushing one behind his back, well, it is not impossible for the quasi-immortal emperor to become an immortal emperor. You must know that there are some realms that cannot be achieved by cultivation if the talent and potential are sufficient, such as the quasi-immortal emperor or the immortal emperor. In addition to the talent and potential, such characters in addition, it also requires a lot of luck. It sounds a bit vague. But becoming an immortal emperor is indeed luck, which accounts for the biggest factor. Because anyone who can become an immortal king is an extremely talented person. The reason why they cannot one step closer, the only difference is the last bit of luck.